Among the giants of the Himalayas, Annapurna looks quiet and calm, but this silence is deceptive. It is the first peak in human history that was successfully climbed at an altitude of over 8,000 meters, and at the same time, one of the deadliest mountains on the planet. The statistics are merciless. Every third climber who went up here did not return. In 1950, French climber Maurice Herzog led the expedition that first stepped onto the summit of Annapurna. His victory became legendary, but the descent turned into a catastrophe. Frostbite, loss of limbs, and the death of part of the team. Herzog later wrote that everything I received on this mountain was glory and pain. And from that moment on, Annapurna began to be called the mountain that demands payment for every step upward. Base camp is the starting point of most expeditions. You can reach it only on foot, through narrow jungle trails and snowy passes. From here, a majestic panorama of several peaks opens: Annapurna 1, 3, Hyonchuli, and Makalu. The first days of acclimatization are spent here. Climbers go 200 to 300 meters up during the day and return down for the night. This allows the lungs and heart to adapt to the lack of oxygen. The air is already thin, the pressure drops, and every movement feels like after a marathon. Night temperatures drop to minus 15 degrees Celsius. The body begins to lose water, so people drink up to 5 liters a day to avoid altitude sickness. 5,100 meters. The entrance to danger. The route to the first camp passes through unstable snowfields. This is the first serious ascent and at the same time the first test of mental endurance. The camp itself is located on a narrow plateau among crevasses and blocks of ice. Winds reach 80 kilometers per hour. During the day, heat; at night, cold down to minus 25 degrees Celsius. Climbers spend 2 to 3 nights here. The body learns to breathe differently. Short inhales, long exhales. Many already feel the first symptoms of altitude sickness: headache, dizziness, insomnia. It is often here where it becomes clear who can go further and who must turn back. Camp 2, 5,700 meters. The Avalanche Corridor. From Camp 1 to 2 is 600 meters that can become fatal. This section is called the Avalanche Corridor because it runs under massive snow overhangs that can collapse at any moment. It was here that one of the most tragic disasters of 2014 occurred, when an avalanche fell directly onto the camp and buried more than 10 climbers and Sherpas. The camp itself lies in a narrow depression between 2 snowy slopes. During the day, temperatures rise sharply, the snow becomes heavy, and avalanches happen more often. Therefore, climbers ascend only before sunrise, when the snow is still firm. Acclimatization here lasts 1 to 2 days. Oxygen levels are twice as low as at sea level, and breathing speeds up even at rest. Camp 3, 6,400 meters. The Wall of Death. This is one of the most dangerous sections of the entire route. To reach it, you must climb a steep north face with slopes reaching up to 70 degrees in places. Underfoot, ice covered with a thin layer of snow that cannot hold weight. No mistakes can be made here. One step to the side, and the fall can last hundreds of meters. In Camp 3, temperatures drop to minus 40 degrees Celsius. People sleep sitting up because the ice beneath the tent may crack. This is where the real death zone begins. The body can no longer repair cells, the heart works at its limit, and appetite disappears. Many begin to see hallucinations, a result of oxygen deprivation. The last haven. Everything here happens in silence. People barely speak. Breathing is too difficult. Camp 4 stands on a sharp ridge. There is very little space. Tents are anchored with ice screws, so they don't slide off the edge. From here begins the final summit push. The departure time is 2200 to 2300. Climbers move in darkness, with only headlamp beams cutting through the night. Ahead lies the French couloir, named after the French team that first conquered Annapurna. It is a narrow ice gully with a steep slope and constant rockfall. Any sound can trigger a snowslide. Every step is on protection because beneath your feet is thousands of meters of emptiness. At around 7,800 meters lies the zone called the death trap. This is where most fatalities occur due to avalanches or falls. If the wind exceeds 50 kilometers per hour, the climb is stopped. The summit of Annapurna, 8,091 meters. The summit of Annapurna is a narrow, icy ridge. From here, you can see Dhaulagiri, Manaslu, and the endless snowy valleys of the Himalayas. But there is almost no time. Even 10 minutes without supplemental oxygen can be fatal. Those who manage to reach it describe a strange feeling of silence. There is not even wind, only the rustle of their own breathing. The way down is the most dangerous. 70% of deaths on Annapurna occurred during the descent. People are exhausted, concentration drops, ropes freeze. Many die just a few hundred meters from Camp 4. In the 2010s, new technologies appeared. GPS, satellite phones, oxygen cylinders. But even these do not guarantee safety. Annapurna is a mountain that takes a toll for every successful ascent. The history of climbing it is simultaneously a story of human triumph and an invisible struggle against fate. 1950, the first ascent and the first loss. The French expedition led by Maurice Herzog and Louis Lachenal became the first to set foot on the summit of an 8,000er. It was a sensation. For the first time in history, a human reached a mountain higher than 8,000 meters. But the price was terrible. On the descent, both climbers were caught in a storm. Without oxygen, with frozen fingers, they wandered in the blizzard for several days. When rescuers found them, Herzog had already lost all his fingers and toes. Lachenal died from frostbite a few weeks later. Their achievement entered history, but became a warning. Annapurna does not like winners. 1997. The Italian tragedy. Even half a century later, the mountain did not become safer. In 1997, during the descent from the summit, the entire Italian team led by Cristiano Viezzani died. They reached the summit too late. The wind hit 100 kilometers per hour, and visibility dropped to zero. At around 7,400 meters, a rope snapped, and 6 people fell into the abyss. Their bodies were never found. A memorial plaque still stands on that route, which Sherpas pass in silence. 2014. The Deadliest mass casualty event, October 2014. A normal day in the Himalayas. Tourists are trekking around Annapurna, one of the most popular trekking routes in the world. Suddenly, a snowstorm begins, triggered by the remnants of a typhoon from the Arabian Sea. It hit without warning. Within a few hours, 2 meters of snow fell. More than 40 people died. Climbers, guides, Sherpas, local villagers. Some froze right inside their tents. Others were buried by avalanches. This event permanently changed expedition rules. Now every team must have satellite communication and accurate weather forecasting. But the mountain has not forgotten those it took. Why Annapurna is feared even by the Sherpas. In Nepal they say, Everest is the mountain of glory, K2 is the mountain of pride, Annapurna is the mountain of silence. Locals believe that the goddess of abundance, Annapurna, lives on the summit. And anyone who comes without respect will be punished. Sherpas cannot be called superstitious, yet even they treat this mountain with sacred fear. They agree to guide expeditions only after a ritual, burning incense, scattering rice, and reciting mantras to appease the spirit of the mountain. Annapurna is not just rock and ice. It is a place where the thin line between life and death disappears. Everyone who comes here knows this mountain is not about victory. It is about respect, faith, and readiness to pay the highest price for a few minutes on the roof of the world. Annapurna remains a mountain that cannot be conquered. You can only touch it for a moment, if it allows you to. Annapurna is a mountain that does not accept accidental guests. It does not tolerate overconfidence, does not forgive haste, and does not care who you are, a millionaire, a professional climber, or a Sherpa since childhood. On its slopes, everyone is equal before the cold, the altitude, and the silence. This is not a summit for glory. This is a summit for those who seek meaning. Because every step here is on the edge between life and death. Every breath is a struggle, and everyone who returns is no longer the same. Annapurna reminds us, nature is always stronger. It is not an enemy, but not a friend either. It is a test that changes you forever. If you are fascinated by places where people confront their own limits, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and write in the comments which mountain you would like to see next. Kangchenjunga, Makalu, or perhaps an even more dangerous one, Nanga Parbat? Your support is what helps create new journeys into the most dangerous corners of the planet.